Courtroom 2, are you available?
Good afternoon, Ms. Falk. How you doing?
Good afternoon. Just checking to see the status of Khadijah Kaba and
I tried. We tried. Mr. McLean said he's going to try to get her on the competency calendar.
okay,
She's not cooperating at all.
got it. What about Ruiz?
He's in front of you right now.
Oh, great. Okay, thank you.
All right.
All right, it sounds like we've resolved some outstanding issues. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Saturday. I'm Judge Melanie Williams. Love when that happens. I'm Judge Melanie Williams. Today is October the 27th of 2022. This is the State Expedited Accusations calendar. This calendar is for those individuals who have been recently arrested, but the cases have already been formally accused and bound over to state court. All defendants, you have an absolute right to remain silent. Anything you say regarding the facts of your case can and will be used against you. You also have the right to an attorney today. When I ask you if you understand your rights, those are the rights that I'm referring to. As everyone has just received the pop-up, I'm sure this particular proceeding is being recorded and broadcast over the internet. That means that any member of the public can log on and watch this. Is there any announcements regarding medical resets at the jail? All right, hearing none, who do we have first?
Your Honor.
Your Honor, we do. We have Ms. Kaba, and she is
Position 8.
position 8, yes.
Your Honor, I'm also showing position 1, Costa Blanco, posted bond.
That is correct.
All right. So we will not wait for those positions. All right, and those who receive a surety or a cash bond today will be reset to the state all-purpose calendar on October the 27th. Those who receive a signature bond today will be reset further notice. All right, and he said the position before me is Julio Ruiz, is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor. Position number 9.
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Ruiz. Your case number is 22 CR 006874J, in which you're charged with 2 counts of giving false information, 1 count of loitering and prowling, and 1 count of obstruction, each with the offense date of October the 11th. Do you understand your rights today?
She's talking to you.
You understand your rights?
Yes, say so. Yeah.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
All right, please speak quickly and loudly. No one wants to be here all day, all right?
Yes,
all right. Who do we have from pretrial today? Ms. Roberts, will you please give me the history?
Yes, I'm showing 4 cycles out of Arizona, with the last arrest being May 1st, 2021 for criminal damage. Out of Arizona, he appears to be on probation for that case. The disposition was April 11th of this year, 2 years probation. And he does appear to have an open case out of Arizona for aggravated assault on an officer, resisting arrest, and shoplifting. And nothing further.
All right, thank you. Mr. Walker, is this your case?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, Judge.
Good
Also,
afternoon.
out of Arizona, I have a felony fleeing that he pled guilty to. But in addition to that, to the charges that's before the court this afternoon, I have that on the loitering charge. It's currently a $2,000 surety bond that's already been set. For the giving false information, for the first count, I have that there's a $1,500 surety that's already been set. It looks like our office added an additional count of giving false information. I'll be requesting a $1,500 surety to be set on that as well. And then on the obstruction, there's another $1,500 surety. So on October the 11th, Georgia Tech PD saw Mr. Ruiz earlier in the day where they had gave him a criminal trespass warning and escorted him off the premises. Later in the evening, he was spotted by Georgia Tech PD once again. At that time, he did take Georgia Tech PD on a foot chase throughout the campus. It took several officers to detain Mr. Ruiz. They were able to detain him. They asked him for his name and his date of birth several times, which he gave them the incorrect name, the incorrect date of birth multiple times. And that's where the 2 counts of giving false information come from. So based on that, we are asking for those bonds to remain as set and asking for a $1,500 surety for the additional count of giving false information.
Okay, Mr. Walker, you know I'm bad at math. What is that total that you're asking for?
Ooh,
15,
so I
15?
think that totals to be a $5,000 surety, if my math is correct.
Okay, all
Well,
right,
hold on. Look, I take that
all
back.
right.
That's not correct.
It's not?
5,500, I think 5,500.
Okay, well, I think I've got the breakdown, so we'll keep going from there. Thank
Okay.
you. All right, Mr. McLean, is this your client?
It is.
All right, please proceed, Mr. McLean.
All right, I already have on the booking sheet, I'm showing a surety of 1,500 on one count, 1,500 on the other, and 2,000 on the other for a total of 5,000 already set. This person has been reset, I believe, for medical reasons or whatever a couple of times, and that's why it's from the 11th to now the 15th. His mother is on Zoom with us. If we see the thing that is marked Julio, I imagine she's probably borrowing his phone, or maybe that's the dad's name, I don't know. But that person is his mom, and she can join us if she'd like or not, or observe. Your Honor, he was in South Carolina visiting his sister. On the way back to Arizona, stopped off in Atlanta. The being on the Georgia Tech campus, of course, was not illegal. That's why they didn't give him a trespass warning when they saw him again. It's not clear to me why it would be fleeing. It wasn't clear to me from the warrant or from the affidavit for the arrest what the reason was to detain him. So I'd ask the court to take that into account. He won't be able to afford a whole lot of bond, Your Honor. So I'd ask the judge, I would ask the court to consider a signature bond or a very low bond.
And of course, Your Honor, we would be adamantly opposed against that because the defendant has no ties to the community. He lives in Arizona. He's already on probation. And the basis for the arrest was that he was previously asked to leave Georgia Tech's premises earlier in the day, and he came back that evening. But with that, nothing further.
All right, at this time, the defendant will receive a $2,000 surety bond, broken down 5,000 each charge. I believe there's 4 charges that equals 2,000. He is to absolutely stay away from the entirety of Georgia Tech's campus. I believe the proper address is 150 First Drive, not 100% sure. And he is to have, is there a more specific address, Mr. Walker?
Well, there's several addresses because, like I said, he took them on
Right.
a foot chase throughout the campus.
Right,
I'm fine with the 151st Street, Your Honor.
all right,
Or
and
we
he
put
is
Georgia
that,
Tech campus in general.
right, and I just know sometimes it's difficult to ascertain, but we'll say the entire Georgia Tech campus, and we'll list that address on First Drive, which I believe is the main address, and he is to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further from either party, Mr. McLean?
No,
Or
Your
Mr.
Honor,
Walker?
it's a total 2,000. It's broken down to 500 each of 4.
Yes, that's the ruling, yes.
Right.
And he
So
will be, he'll be reset to that SAP calendar on the 27th. I just wanted to clarify that point. Go ahead, Mr. McLean.
if somebody could email me the 4th charge, that would be super. And I understand. Okay, thank you.
All right, I believe it's on the calendar. If you have the calendar, the 4th charge has been added.
Well, I'm speaking about the actual paperwork on it. If it's
Oh,
been
all right.
recently.
All right,
The
Let's-
affidavit for arrest. Thank you.
all right, thank you. Best of luck to you, sir. Who do we have next?
Position number 5.
All right.
Yes, you want to- Well, that's about that calendar.
Okay, I'm sorry. Mr. Ruiz has a question regarding position 2, regarding the bond.
I can go to the jail and explain it to him this afternoon when I leave the office.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. I appreciate that. All right, we have the case of Shakima Hunt. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, I believe so.
All right, it has courtroom 3. Were they on the line? Has she heard her rights?
Yes, ma'am, we were here.
All right, thank you. Just wanted to be sure. In this case, 22 CR 006908Y, you're charged with 1 count of reckless conduct, 1 count of battery, and 1 count of simple battery family violence with the offense date of October the 14th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Ms. Roberts?
I'm showing 8 cycles, 6 out of Georgia, 2 out of New York. Last arrest was September 17th of this year for a probation violation. The underlying charge was a driving while license suspended. That conviction was in 2021. She currently has an open case out of Fulton County for 2 counts of battery and 4 counts of simple battery. That case number is 20 CR 005 749Y. And she has 2 convictions out of New York. One was in 2009 for assault, and the other was in 2007 for larceny. And nothing further.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Roberts. I appreciate that history. All right, Ms. Falk, please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. This happened on October 14th. And essentially what happened in this case is over at 3200 Stone Road, apartment 15, the defendant had come home, gotten into an argument with her daughter, whose name is Onestee Hunt, and I'll just spell that out, Onnestee. Last name same as the defendant's, about cleaning. When the defendant got into her face, Miss Onestee Hunt grabbed a plastic stick, attempted to strike the defendant. The defendant took the stick away from Miss Hunt, struck her in the legs while Miss Hunt was holding her 1-year-old son, Osiri Hunt. Hunt stated that her mother, Onestee Hunt, stated that her mother, the defendant, hit her baby in the face while she was trying to hit her. And the child, O Hunt, had a busted lip and a bleeding scratch over the right eye. So what we're showing is the defendant actually has 2 open cases, not only the case that pretrial has already stated, but we are showing a second open case, 22 CR 006423Y, which is a driving while license suspended, no insurance. On the other case, the battery 2 counts, simple battery 3 counts, that involved not the victim, but the co-defendant in that case was her daughter, Onestee Hunt, and she received a $1,000 signature bond on that case. And on the 22 CR case, the driving while license suspended and no insurance, she received a $1,600 signature bond. So the state's real concern here is not only that there's a history of violence, an open violent offense already that she's already received a signature bond for, and then a second signature bond on another open case, but now she has elevated this to actually striking out and ending up hitting a child. So quite frankly, what Miss Hunt and her daughter do, the state is not involved in unless it rises to violence, and it seems to keep rising to violence. And so what we're asking for in this case is a $3,500 surety bond for the reckless conduct, a $3,500 signature bond for the battery because we did charge in the alternative, a $1,500 surety bond for the simple battery for a total of an $8,000 split bond, no further contact with the child, O Hunt, and well, we're not going to ask for a stay away from the address, but we would ask for no further contact with Miss Onestee Hunt, as well as the child, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. I am not sure if Miss Onestee Hunt lives with her mother, but we would ask for a one-time law enforcement escort just to verify that Miss O Hunt is not, Onestee and her child, O Hunt, are not at the residence before Miss Hunt regains control of her residence. And that's all for the state.
I'm going to sound for Ms. Hunt. Is it Honesty, perhaps? Onestee Hunt?
Okay, it's Honesty. Yep, I totally missed that. Thank you.
No, I didn't. I just was curious. Is Miss
and Honesty?
Oh, is Miss Honesty Hunt on the Zoom conference?
No, ma'am.
All right, Miss Helen, do you represent this defendant?
I do, Your Honor. Good morning.
Please proceed, Miss Helen. Good to see you this afternoon.
This afternoon. Good afternoon, Judge. Miss Hunt is 39 years old. You've heard, Judge, that this took place at 3200 Stone Road, apartment 15. We are asking for a signature bond of the battery, $3,500 to remain as suggested, Judge, but we're asking for a signature bond for the reckless conduct of no more than $1,500, and for the simple battery family violence, no more than $1,000, Judge. And we are asking for that to be a signature bond, because when I spoke to Ms. Hunt, she stated that she came home the same day and that the child ran up to her, already had a small cut on his lip, and was complaining to her about what had happened. So Ms. Hunt believes she did not do anything to that child, specifically cause a busted lip. Judge, she said that that was already present prior to her coming home that day, Judge. I do hear her history. I hear that other open case, but I do believe Miss Honesty is a co-defendant in that case as well.
That
Judge.
is correct. I stated that.
Yes, Your Honor. And so we are still asking for that signature bond, for that bond modification. Ms. Hunt is the only person who's able to bond herself out, Judge. So again, just go through the Ayala factors. I do believe she'll come to all of her court dates. I do believe she understands how serious this case is, Judge. I don't believe she's a danger to Miss Honesty, but again, Judge, that address is a home, I believe, in her name. Miss Honesty's name is not on that lease. So if Miss Hunt was not able to return, she'd have nowhere to go, Judge. She'd be homeless effectively, Judge. With her not being able to bond herself out. Judge, she's not currently working, but she is a high school graduate, William H. Maxwell. Judge, yes, she's from New York, but she's been in Georgia for the last 6 years. So just, Judge, we are asking for that bond modification for the requested amounts in the signature, Judge.
All right, one question. Did Miss Honesty Hunt go to felony, or is she gonna be on another SCA calendar at some point?
Yeah. Let me just clarify. Honesty Hunt was the victim in this case, the co-defendant in the 20 CR case that Miss Shakima Hunt already has. So
Okay, okay,
right, that's what we were clarifying.
okay. All right, understood. I
Thank you,
understand
Your
now.
Honor.
All right. All right, what we'll do is, at this time, the defendant's gonna receive a $5,000 surety bond and a $2,500 signature bond, broken down as follows. The reckless conduct will be a $1,500 surety. The battery will be a $2,500 signature through the jail. And the simple battery will be a $3,500 surety. The defendant is to have no further contact with the alleged victim in this case. We are not going to order the stay away, but we will require the one-time law enforcement escort to ascertain that the alleged victim is not there, to have no contact with the baby O Hunt, and to have no weapons, drugs, or alcohol as a condition of that surety bond and signature bond in essence. Is there anything further from either party?
No, Judge.
All right. Best of luck to you, Ms. Hunt. Can we move
Thank
to the
you.
next position, please?
Excuse me, Judge. Mr. Ian Walker, can you check your chat? Yes, ma'am, we can.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Your Honor, we're
What do
coming
we
back
have
to
next?
courtroom two. We're coming back to courtroom two. We're gonna go to position number 2, Mr. Timothy Collins. Your Honor, he's kind of hard of hearing, so if everyone can speak up so he can hear you.
Okay, I'll try to speak loudly. Can we also turn on the closed caption, Mr. Jordan? Would that help? All right. Mr. Collins, your case number is 22 CR 006902C. You're charged with theft by receiving stolen property and theft by shoplifting with the offense date of October the 14th of 2022. Do you understand your rights today?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Ms. Roberts?
He has 27 cycles. Last arrest was December 10th, 2020 for theft by shoplifting. Let me double check. I don't believe a disposition was listed on that case. No disposition was listed. He has a 2015 aggravated assault conviction, a 2006 burglary conviction. He has a total of 3 theft by shoplifting convictions, 2008, 2006, 2001. 3 criminal trespass convictions, 2006, 2005, 1999. A willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer conviction in 99. And a dangerous drug conviction in 89. And a burglary in 2006. I'm not sure if I said that already. And nothing further.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Roberts. And I'm sorry, the theft by shoplifting conviction, the most recent one, what year was that? I'm sorry.
I'm showing
I didn't get the-
2008 as being the
Yeah,
most
I'm
recent.
showing 2008 as well.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Falk, please proceed.
Okay, so Your Honor, this happened October 14th at around 9:42 p.m. at the Corner Market located at 3332 Colville, Colville Avenue in Hateville. So the defendant and Martha Butler, who's the co-defendant on this case, were observed entering, and as the defendant essentially acted as a lookout, Ms. Butler went in, shoplifted an alcoholic beverages, detergent, brought him a cup of coffee, and then concealed the rest of the items in a brown handbag, exited the store, handed the items to the defendant, who checked the contents and then left the location. He was already known to the people at the store, and then he was later arrested. The surety bond is currently preset at $500. I will just say for the record that this is the defendant's. Not only does he have the 3 prior theft by shopliftings, I did not actually see the one from 2001, but he also has a 2020 arrest for theft by shoplifting in Chamblee, where there's currently a bench warrant that's been issued for him, and a 2020 arrest for theft by shoplifting in Fulton County. As Your Honor well knows, he's racking up the shoplifting, so he's heading into recidivist territory. So the state's recommendation would be the $500 surety bond remain on the theft by receiving, and we ask for an additional $1,000 on the theft by shoplifting. Stay away from the location at the Corner Market. No alcohol, drugs, and weapons. We did speak to the owner of that store. He does not want the defendant to come around anymore. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Helen?
Yes, Judge. Mr. Collins is 50 years old. He does have a hearing aid, so sometimes it's hard for him to hear. Judge, he has graduated high school. He's a lifetime resident of Fulton County. I did hear his history that the theft, there's currently a bench warrant for that 2020 case, but as far as any type of conviction, was it about 14 years ago at 2008? So when I spoke to Mr. Collins, Judge, we were requesting a signature bond of the same amount of $500. He believes that he didn't take anything. The person he was with actually did, Judge. And unfortunately, he was arrested with that person, Judge. So we are asking for that bond modification to a $500 signature. He does have strong family ties. I don't believe he's going to be a flight risk or danger to the community. He's got a mom, brother, and sister in Fulton County, and as well as Clayton County, Judge. So we are asking for that bond modification.
All right, thank you. At this time, the defendant will receive $1,000 surety bond, $500 on each charge. He must stay away from the Corner Market on Colville Avenue, and he is to have no weapons, drugs, or alcohol as a condition. Is there anything further?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, best of luck to you, sir. Who do we have next?
You finished?
I gotta put the ball.
No. You still
What's
do
that
that.
do?
You got a good one.
Uh,
Come on, I'm gonna talk to you. Sorry, Your Honor. Next, we have position number 3, Mr. Dennis.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Dennis. Your case number is 22 CR 006906D, and which you're charged with loitering and prowling and willful obstruction with the offense date of October the 13th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, Mom.
All right, Ms. Roberts.
I'm showing 4 cycles. Last arrest was April 20th of this year for theft by taking, aggravated battery, riot in a penal institution, and interference with government property out of DeKalb County. That case appears to be open. And he appears to be on probation out of Clayton County for simple battery. Disposition date was October 5th of this year, 12 months probation, and nothing further to add.
All right, thank you.
State has an addition to that. We checked his history in DeKalb County. He was convicted on August of 2022 in DeKalb for theft by receiving. And yes, we were also able to verify the DeKalb County aggravated battery, riot, theft by taking, interference with government property is still open. That was from April of 2022.
All right, please proceed, Ms. Falk.
This happened on October 13th at 2865 Lennox Road at 8:43 p.m. Officers were dispatched to a person stealing from a vehicle, and the defendant was observed running from the location. The officers spoke with the security guard, who stated that the defendant and another individual had been pulling on the door handles of a 2012 Kia Sorento. They did do a show up. The security guard did identify the defendant as one of the individuals he observed. And on the defendant's person, officers found a handgun, a ski mask, and a black knife. So there's currently a preset bond for $1,500 for the loitering, $1,000 for the obstruction. We ask that that be increased to $2,500 for each, for a total of $5,000. The reason why is because we literally have an arrest, a conviction, and now this charge within a 6-month period. So that serious felony charges that he's currently on bond for in April of 2022, a theft by receiving in August 2022, which he was convicted of, that he's on probation for, that 2021 simple battery, and now he is arrested at this scene, 865 Lennox Road, with pulling on door handles and having it was a Glock handgun in his possession, Your Honor. So we do have some concerns here that he is not really taking this seriously. We would also ask for a stay away from 2865 Lennox Road, which is Le Chateau, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Falk. Mr. McLean, please proceed.
Mr. Dennis is my
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Helen. I just saw Ms. McLean was unmuted. Ms. Helen, please proceed. Thank you.
Yes, Judge, we are asking for a bond modification. I do see that the loitering and prowling currently has a $1,500 bond. We're asking for that to be modified to a $500 signature bond. The obstruction right now is $1,000 surety bond. We're asking for that to be modified to a $500 signature bond. When I spoke to Mr. Dennis, he understands that he does have that open case, as well as the probation judge, and that's why he understands he's going to come to all court dates. So he understands the seriousness of that. He's 20 years old. He's extremely employable. He has 3 jobs currently prior to being arrested, Judge. He's working construction currently, a busser at the Cheesecake Factory, as well as Auntie's, Judge. So that's 3 jobs. He does have his GED from Parkview High School, Judge. He also has been in the Georgia area for the last 6 years, but he is from New Jersey, but he's been here for the last 6 years, Judge. So he is employable. And so, Judge, we are asking for that bond modification to that signature bond. Again, Mr. Dennis is 20 years old. He's not able to afford the current bond that's set.
All right, thank you, Ms. Helen. At this time, the defendant will receive a $3,500 surety bond, broke down as follows: $2,500 on count 1 and $1,000 on count 2. He is to stay away from the address on Lennox Road, and he is to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, including the subject weapon. And he must stay, I'm sorry, I already added the stay away. He will be reset to the state all-purpose calendar on the 27th, whereby this bond ruling can be revisited at that time. Is there anything further?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
No, Judge.
All right, best of luck to you, sir. Who do we have next?
Next, we have position number 4, Mr. Walter Green.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Green. Your case number is 22 CR 006907J, in which you're charged with simple battery, family violence, with the offense date of October the 14th. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Roberts.
Yes, I'm showing 3 cycles, 2 out of Georgia, 1 out of Alabama. Last arrest, December 5th, 2021 for disorderly conduct. He does appear to have an open case. He does appear to have 2 open cases out of Fulton County. The first is disorderly conduct and simple assault, 21 CR 007-300J. And then the second is simple assault against officer and obstruction of a law enforcement officer, 21 CP 205001. And he is currently out on a pretrial bond. It was a $3,000 SOB pretrial, and we're surrendering that bond.
All right, thank you. All right, Ms. Falk, please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened October 14th at 11:37 p.m. over at 1605 Stokes Avenue. Laura Gibson, who is the defendant's living girlfriend, stated that the defendant kept demanding to have sex with her. She denied him sex, and then they began to argue. She stated the defendant had been drinking, and then he struck her multiple times on the back and in the head. The defendant was detained. I will want to point out that that $3,000 pretrial bond that was on the disorderly conduct and simple assault also involved Miss Laura Gibson. There is actually a no further violent contact provision as a part of that bond. In that case, back in December of 2021, he was acting violently, threatening to put a bomb in their residence. And according to Miss Gibson, he was again drinking on that date as well. There is also a UJR bond signed by Judge Oliver on December 7th of 2021 for simple assault on a law enforcement officer and obstruction. So we do have some concerns, not only for risk of reoffense, but just in general inability to follow the guidelines of bond, as well as the fact that this is his third violent offense that he has been arrested on within 1 year's time. The state is asking for a $2,500 cash bond, and that is because this is the second time in less than a year with the same victim, Laura Gibson, that there has been an altercation. We're also asking for a stay away from that residence at 1605 Stokes Avenue. No further contact with Miss Gibson, alcohol, drug evaluation and treatment, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Falk. Ms. Helen? Oh, before I go to Ms. Helen, I'm sorry. I'm going to sound for Ms. Gibson. Ms. Gibson, if you're on the Zoom conference and wish to be heard, this is your opportunity to speak. All right, hearing none, please proceed, Ms. Helen.
Yes, Judge. Mr. Green is 43 years old. I do have a stable phone number for him, Judge. He did graduate Matonka High School, so he is a high school graduate, Judge. He is from Carroll, Georgia. He currently has no children. And so, Judge, I have heard his history, Judge. However, Mr. Green, again, is not able to afford that $2,500 cash bond. We are requesting that be a $1,500 surety bond. Number one, because I spoke to Mr. Green. He understands the seriousness of this case. It's going to come to his court dates, Judge. But if it's a $2,500 cash bond, that's effectively a no bond for Mr. Green. So we are asking for that bond modification effectively to a $1,500 surety bond, Judge.
All right, thank you, Ms. Helen. At this time, defendant is going to receive a $6,500 surety bond. He is to have no contact with the alleged victim, in this case, last name Gibson, and he is to stay away from the address on Stokes Avenue, have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Is there anything further at this time?
Your Honor, state's still inquiring about that ADET. This is the second time he's been arrested where alcohol was involved.
The state's argument is noted, but I'm not going to order it at this juncture. All right, anything further?
No, Judge.
Judge, was that a 6,500 surety?
Yes, 6,500. All right, who do we have next?
Next, Your Honor, we have position number 6, Mr. Sharif Irons.
Good evening, Judge.
Good afternoon. How are you, Mr. Irons? Your case is 22 CR 006909F. You're charged with 1 count of willful obstruction and 1 count of battery with the offense dated of October the 13th. Do you understand your rights here today?
I do, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Ms. Roberts?
Yes, 21 cycles. Last arrest was November 24th, 2024, probation violation in Worth County. The underlying charge was a possession of cocaine, which was a first offender, and it was sealed January of this year. He does have a disorderly conduct and criminal trespass conviction from 2019, a criminal trespass conviction from 2018, a violation of a family violence order conviction 2017, 2 driving while license suspended convictions, both in 2018, a simple battery family violence conviction 2018, a possession of marijuana less than an ounce conviction 2010, criminal trespass conviction 2009, 3 FTAs, 1 in 2009 and 2 in 2018, and nothing further.
All right, thank you. Ms. Falk?
Yes, Your Honor. This happened over at One Park Place, Atlanta on October 13th at around 10 p.m. The defendant actually approached officers who were detaining juveniles for a completely separate incident. The defendant inserted himself into it, demanded to speak with the supervisors to know why the defendants were why the juveniles were being detained. He did not appear to have a relationship with any of the parties involved. At that point, he began cursing at the officers when the officers told him there was not another supervisor to speak to, stated, "I'm not going anywhere. You'll have to deal with me tonight," when the officer asked him to please take a step back from him. At that point, the officer then saw Latasha Wright, Latasha Wright, who approached the officers, pointed at the defendant, and told the officers that they had gotten into an argument over at Woodruff Park at 91 Peachtree Street, at which point the defendant punched her in the face. She stated that after he struck her, he then saw the officers detaining the juveniles and then ran to confront the officers. I will say Ms. Wright did state to the police that he had been drinking at the time, so that may have contributed to the behavior that evening. Officers could see swelling around the right side of Ms. Wright's face and did take the defendant into custody. There is a surety bond preset at $2,000 for the battery and $1,000 for the obstruction. We're asking that bond remain as set. We are showing both that 2020 and 2019 probation violations out of Worth County, the 2 FTAs from January and June of 2018 in Fulton County, and that disorderly conduct in 2019 in Fulton County. So we do have some concerns regarding this case. I just acknowledge that the circumstances were a bit bizarre, but at the end of the day, he is alleged to have struck Miss Wright in the face, seemingly unprovoked, and then confronted the officers. We are also asking for a stay away from Woodruff Park and no further contact with Latasha Wright, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Thank you.
I have to ask, Ms. Falk. So
Yes.
the state's allegation is that he struck one young lady and then immediately ran over to the police and got into another situation.
That is the allegation.
Okay, wanted to make sure I understood.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Irons, I know you want to say something. Please don't. I don't want you to say anything about this case because that will interfere with your attorney's ability to assist you, okay? You have a right to remain silent, and I want to see you, take advantage of your rights here today. Ms. Helen, please proceed.
Yes, Judge. Mr. Irons is 35 years old today. Specifically, he went to get help from the police after Miss Wright hit him in the face on the right side of his temple. Miss Wright assaulted him, and he wanted to defend himself, and then wanted to get to the police to help them defend him from Miss Wright. And so, Judge, Mr. Irons is completely employable right now. He currently has a job with the Atlanta Breakfast Club as a line cook. Prior to that, he was with cooking services for about 8 to 9 months at a lounge, Judge. He does have his GED from the Atlanta Area Tech in aviation, maintenance, and technology, Judge. He is from Florida, but he's been in the Fulton County area for the last 32 years. So at this point, I do believe he's a resident, and I don't believe he's going to be a flight risk anywhere, Judge. I do hear the history, the 2018. I don't believe that case has anything to do with Miss Wright here today, but Judge, we are asking for the bond modification of these charges to be a signature bond today. Mr. Irons assures me Miss Wright assaulted him and he wanted to get help and be safe from her, Judge. We are asking for a signature bond for the obstruction in the $1,000 amount, Judge, as well as for the battery, a signature bond in the amount of $2,000, Judge.
I am going to sound for Ms. Wright. Is Ms. Wright on this Zoom conference and wishes to be heard at this time?
And Your Honor, I will say that we did attempt to make contact with Ms. Wright. It went to a voicemail that was not set up. We also sent a text message, but had not received a response. I will further say that according to the officer's warrant, the defendant was very disorderly, yelling, cursing, and at no point was asking for help for himself.
All right, thank you, Ms. Falk, for that point of clarification. Defendant's going to receive a $2,000 split bond, $1,000 signature through the jail on count 1, and $1,000 surety count 2. He's to stay away from Woodward. Is it Woodruff? Woodruff. He needs to stay away from that park. Thank you. And he is to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and have no contact with Ms. Wright. Is there anything further?
No, Judge.
All right, sir. Best of luck to you, Mr. Irons. Take care. All right, who do we have next?
Next, Your Honor, we have position number 7, Mr. Terrence Jackson.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Jackson. Your case is 22 CR. I'm sorry, is someone speaking? Oh, thank you. Good afternoon. Good to see you. This, your case number is 22 CR 006910E, and you're charged with theft by shoplifting with the offense date of September the 16th of this year. Do you understand your rights today?
Yeah.
All right, Ms. Roberts.
I'm showing 15 cycles. Last arrest was July 14th of this year for theft by taking out of Fulton County. I have to double check to see if that case is still open. I don't have a case number for it. He does appear to be on probation out of Fulton County for 2 counts of armed robbery and 2 counts of aggravated assault. 09 SC 76990. Disposition date was August of 2010. It was 10 years confinement, 10 years probation. He has 2 FTAs, both from this year, and 2 probation violations, 2020 and 2021. And nothing further.
Thank you, Ms. Roberts. Ms. Falk.
Yes, Your Honor. And I will say, I also saw that arrest out of Fulton County, but I could not find the associated case with that when I went into case manager. So I don't have a case number for that case. This happened on September 16th at the BP gas station at 9165 Roosevelt Highway in Palmetto, Georgia. The store manager told police that the defendant had stolen some knives that were valued at $26.99 each. The defendant had allegedly stolen 2 knives. The store manager also told police that the defendant's name was TJ and that he had tried to sell one of the knives at a nearby salon. Video surveillance showed the officers that the defendant had come into the store, picked up a knife, and left the store. About 2 days later, the defendant entered the store again. The store manager tried to talk with the defendant about the knives, but he yelled, "It wasn't me," and ran out of the store. Officers later made contact with the defendant on October 12th, who they saw matched the defendant on the surveillance video from earlier, and took him into custody. He was taken into custody on October 12th. However, he was then transported to Coweta County, where there was a hold on him, and then brought back here to Palmetto after the hold expired, which is why there is not a Riverside issue. He was not brought here until October 14th. We are asking for, there is a current preset bond of $2,500. We are particularly concerned about the new arrest, the FTAs, as well as the theft by shoplifting in 2019 and theft by taking in 2019. The state would ask that the bond remain as set, stay away from the location, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Helen.
Yes, Judge. Mr. Jackson is 34 years old. He's currently employable. He works at the 613 Diner as a back of the house employee, Judge. He is from South Carolina, but he's resided in the Clayton County, Fulton County area for the last several years, Judge. And in this case, Judge, states right that it is a $2,500 surety. We're asking for a $1,000 signature bond for Mr. Jackson. When I spoke to him, I believe he'll come to his court dates. I do believe he understands the seriousness of this. I did hear the open probation. I didn't hear what the resolution of the theft by taking in the Fulton County case was, but Judge, based off of that, we are asking for that signature bond in the amount of $1,000. Mr. Jackson cannot afford to bond himself out with that amount, especially $2,500 for this theft by shoplifting. I believe the amount alleged was $53.98 for the knives, Judge. So yeah, we're asking for a $1,000 signature. If you do feel that he's ineligible for that, a $1,000 surety at most, Judge.
And just to fill this in, the 2019 theft by taking was also a conviction, as well as that 2019 theft by shoplifting in Fulton. He's also got a FTA from Richmond County from July of 2022.
All right, defendant will receive a $1,500 surety bond. He's to stay away from the location on Roosevelt Highway and have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
And Judge, what was that address? I apologize.
I think I had 9165 Roosevelt Highway. Is that correct, Ms. Falk?
That is correct, Your Honor. It's a BP gas station.
Thank you,
All right.
Judge.
Thank you. Best of luck to you, Mr. Jackson. Who do we have next?
Next, Your Honor, we actually have position number 10. He's position number 10.
And 11.
Yeah, and 11, Mr. Malik Smith.
Hey, how y'all doing?
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Smith. You have two cases today. In your first case, 22 CR 0061948, you're charged with criminal trespass, hindering a person making an emergency call, and criminal trespass and damage to property with the offense date of September the 2nd. In your second case, 22 CR 006915A, you're charged with driving hit and run and duty of a driver to stop or return to the scene of an accident with the offense date of June the 26th of this year. Do you understand your rights here today, Mr. Smith?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Roberts.
I'm showing 4 cycles. Last arrest was October of 2020 for driving without a valid license. I'm not showing a disposition listed on that case. He does have an open case out of Fulton County for theft by receiving stolen property, criminal damage to property in the 2nd degree, fleeing and attempting to elude, driving without a valid license, failure to obey traffic signs, signals, and markings, reckless driving, and willful obstruction. That case number is 19 SC 167574, and nothing further to add.
All right, thank you. Ms. Falk.
This is my case, Your Honor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No
I just can't
problem.
get that right today. Mr. Walker, please.
Okay,
proceed.
we're gonna get through
Mr.
it.
Smith, Mrs. Smith, please do not say anything. The best thing to do is allow your attorney to speak on your behalf, okay?
Yes,
I have
ma'am.
a couple things to add to the history. I do have a 2018 shoplifting case out of Dunwoody where he did diversion. I also have a 2019 possession of a pistol by a person under the age of 18 where he also did diversion through our office. As pretrial has stated, that 19 SC case with the Fulton County DA's office, he did receive a pretrial bond on that matter. And on the 2020 City of Atlanta case, that is a no license and marijuana charge. And that case is currently in FTA status. His last court date on that, I believe, was March 16th, which he was a FTA. But to the facts of this case, for the count of criminal trespass, I'm asking for $1,000 surety. For the count of hindering a person making a 911 call, I'm asking for a $2,000 surety. And for criminal trespass damage, I'm asking for $1,000 surety. On September 2nd of this year, the defendant was at the Columbia Estates apartment located at 1719 Jasmine Circle here in Atlanta, Georgia. The security guard for that apartment complex had asked the defendant to leave several times. At the time, the defendant did become unruly and refused to leave. At that time, the security guard's name, who is Sean Miller, attempted to call 911. At that time, the defendant did smack the phone out of Mr. Miller's hand and took off running. Mr. Miller's phone was cracked as it did hit the ground. Mr. Miller was able to contact APD and a warrant was taken out for Mr. Smith's arrest. That is the factual basis to position 10. I don't know if you want to make your ruling on that.
Please
Then
go to
the-
position 11. We'll do it all at once.
Okay, so on position 11, he's charged with hit and run. There's currently a $5,000 surety bond set, and I want to ask that it remains set because he already has a no license case out of the City of Atlanta where he's in FTA status on. But on June 26th of 2021, APD was dispatched to the BP gas station located at 1450 Donnelly Avenue. They spoke to the victim, Miss Tiffany Jenkins, who advised to the officer as she was pumping her gas, a young black male ran into her vehicle. The man became unruly, told her he did not have any insurance, called her out of her name, and then pulled off. However, the victim was able to get a picture of his license plate number. The officer obviously ran the license plates. They were able to produce a picture, and the victim was able to identify the defendant out of a 6-pack. And that's where the warrant was taken out for the hit and run. So the bond is preset at $5,000 based upon that he already has an open felony case where he has a pretrial service bond that was issued. He has an open no license case where he has a FTA, and now he has a hit and run and the other charges. I mean, he's just racking up cases, and I think the defendant is rather young. So the state has great concern as safety for the community.
All right, thank you, Mr. Walker. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, his mom's on the Zoom with us. Your Honor, I would emphasize in the hit and run accusation that it was, this is not any kind of high speed thing. This is alleged to have occurred at a gas station at the pump. So it would have been pretty much of a dense situation. And I missed out on the detail that Mr. Walker had provided about the calling out of the name and everything, because what I'm looking at and what the police affidavit of arrest is simply said he got out of his vehicle, said he didn't have insurance and left. But there's probably another report, I'm sure. But
There is.
also on the matter of the apartment complex, he's going to be contesting that charge. We would ask the court to take into consideration his youth, the fact that he has work, he works 2 jobs. He works a part-time job with his brother detailing cars. He works full-time in a company which, let me lean over and grab that. He cleans Airbnbs, so he works full-time and part-time. We would ask the court to take that into consideration in setting as low a bond as possible.
And if I
All
can
right.
just look at that briefly, I think I forgot. but
Very briefly.
Obviously,
Very
we're gonna be
briefly.
asking for a stay away from the apartment complex, 1719 Jasmine Circle, which is Columbia Estates, and no further contact with the victim, who is Sean Miller. That is the security officer who works at that complex.
I'm sure there's no problem complying with that.
All right, thank you. At this time, I will accept the state's recommendation as to position 10. It will be a $4,000 surety, 1,000 count 1, 2,000 count 2, and 1,000 count 3. He's to have no contact with the alleged victim, last name Miller, and stay away from the incident location, have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. As it pertains to position 11, he will receive a $2,500 surety bond. He is to, let's see.
And we're
I'm
asking
sorry.
for no driving, Your Honor.
I was gonna do the note. What is there? There's no stay away though, correct, Mr. Walker?
Well, it's
It's a gas station. All
and
right,
it was a hit and run, so
right. Okay, I understood, Mr. Walker. So he is not to drive as a condition of this bond, and he is to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Please give me the name of the alleged victim as well, Mr. Walker. I'm sure that
Tiffany
won't be an
Jenkins.
issue. And I'm sure that won't be an issue either. Doesn't sound like he knows her, but he is to have no contact with the alleged victim, in this case, Tiffany Jenkins. Is there anything further?
Nothing.
All right, Mrs. Smith. Mrs. Smith, I see you want to say something. You have a right to remain silent. I don't want the state to use anything you say against you. Do you have a question about the bond?
No, man, I just go tell him, he forgot to mention, I have 2 daughters too. I got
All
one,
right.
and I got one on the way in February. And in the past 5 years, I haven't got in any trouble.
Okay, I don't, my ruling will stand. If you have questions about it, please speak to Mr. McLean, all right? Your
Yes,
case will
ma'am.
be reset to the October 27th SAP calendar, whereby these conditions and bonds can be revisited, all right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, best of luck to you, Mrs. Smith. Stay out of trouble. right, who-
Congratulations on the
Thank
daughter.
you, ma'am.
All right, who do we have next?
Next, we have position number 12, Mr. Travis Troutman.
All right, Mr. Troutman, your case is 22 CR 006913F. You are charged with criminal trespass with the offense date of November the 6th of 2021. Do you understand your rights today?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Roberts?
I'm only showing 1 prior arrest. We on Troutman, right?
Yeah,
Okay. I'm only showing 1 prior arrest from 2008 out of Florida for an out-of-county warrant. And
it was a DUI, Your Honor. I think this
Mr.
case
Walker,
will be-
you look like you don't agree. All right, Ms.
No, it was a DUI, but this case will be brief because I actually am asking for $1,000 pretrial services bond. I know you would like a factual basis. Essentially, what happened is on November the 8th of last year, the defendant went to his ex-wife's home. She has a security system. He attempted to obstruct the view of her camera. However, he did leave without further incident. The victim's name is Diane Troutman. She is on the line. We do have contact with her. She has stated to our office that she is not in fear, and they are successfully co-parenting since this event has occurred. So therefore, we are asking for $1,000 pretrial services bond. If Ms. Troutman would like to address the court, I would ask for her to turn camera on, please.
All right. Mr. Walker, you're not asking for
No
you're not
further
asking.
no further violence.
Okay. All right. Understood. Ms. Troutman, this is your opportunity to make a statement. You're not required to, but if you'd like to, the court will hear from you. Would
Yes,
you like to make a
absolutely.
statement? Okay, then
Yes,
please raise
absolutely,
your
Your
right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, what would you like to tell the court at this time?
Yes, I just want to let very clear, I want to drop the charges on him and make sure everybody understand he's a great dad. He's a great person. What happened at that time, we just haven't been a very difficult divorce, very nasty. And he proved he's a much better person, an amazing dad. We are having been co-parent pretty good. And I don't have any concerns about my safety or my son's safety with him. It was just a bad moment. Both went together. So that's something that's nothing in concern anymore. Just 1 second, buddy. I apologize. I have our son here with me.
That's okay. That's okay.
That's not your dad, Baba. And we are very happy. We co-parent together. He's perfect in communication. We're doing great. So that's, for me, that's one incident to happen, and he do not deserve anything to happen with him right now. And I just want him out as soon as possible.
All right, thank you. Mr.
Absolutely.
McLean, any objections? I appreciate you making that statement, Ms. Troutman. Thank you again. Mr.
No
McLean?
objection, no objection to a signature bond, Your Honor. I do note that the divorce occurred since this occurred because they were separated at the time, and doggone it, there goes my chance to criticize the affidavit, but.
All right. I understand Mr. Walker's suggestion, but I am actually gonna run that $6,000 signature bond through the jail.
Did you say
He said-
6,000, Your Honor, or
I
1,000?
said 1,000, that signature bond,
Oh,
that
I'm sorry, I
$1,000.
misheard. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's been a long day for many of us. The defendant will receive $1,000 signature bond through the jail, and he is to have no further violent contact with the alleged victim, in this case, Ms. Troutman. All right, is there anything further?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
All right,
Nothing.
best of luck to you, Mr. Troutman. And I believe we're down to our last position,
Yes,
Mr.
we are.
Mr. Marcus Waters. Mr. Waters, please come forward. Your case is 22 CR 006911E, and you are charged with battery family violence with the offense date of July the 31st of this year. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Roberts.
I'm showing only one prior arrest from 1998 for driving while license suspended. In that case, was dead docket.
Okay, thank
Yes,
you.
Your Honor. To the 1 count of battery family violence, the state will be asking for a $3,000 surety. No further contact with the victim, whose name is Claire Carabani, spelled Karabani, and to stay away from the incident location, 514 Mossy Cup Drive, located in South Fulton, Georgia. On July 31st of 2022, the defendant showed up at a bar or a lounge unexpectedly. He confronted his wife with allegations that she was out with another man. She actually was out with one of her girlfriends. At that time, they both left that location separately. They went home, where the argument continued. The defendant became more agitated, ultimately becoming violent. He did snatch the necklace or a necklace that Ms. Carabani was wearing that evening off of her neck, and he did leave a large abrasion on her neck, which was witnessed by or observed by the officer. The defendant did leave the scene or their home at that time. We do have contact with the victim. I do believe that the victim is on the line. It is my understanding that the victim does want to have contact with the defendant, but the state does have some concerns. Our victim advocate did speak with the victim earlier today. She did advise to our victim advocate that this, in fact, is their second incident of domestic violence. However, the first incident, she was too afraid, or for whatever reason, she did not call the police, which is not uncommon in domestic violence situations. And something that our victim advocate noted was that the victim stated to her that she felt like that her and her husband or her partner needed a break. So based upon the fact that this happened in July and she still feels as though they need a break from one another, the state is concerned for her safety, and we will be asking for that stay away and no further contact, Your Honor.
All right, and tell me the last name again, Mr. Walker.
Here, I'm probably not pronouncing it correctly, but it's spelled Karabani.
Okay, so is Ms. Caravani or Caravani perhaps on the line?
I see Clara, so I believe that's your
Yes,
first.
I'm here.
All right, if you'd like to turn on your camera and make a statement, this is your opportunity to do so. However, you are not required to speak. Do you wish to make a statement today?
Yes, I just want to drop the charges.
Okay, you need to turn on your camera so that we can identify you.
I don't know how.
All right, take a moment. There should be a button somewhere on your phone that allows you to turn on the camera feature. There you are. All right,
Okay.
please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
All right. Please proceed. Tell me what you can put your hand down. Please tell me what you'd like me to know today.
I just want to drop the charges.
All right. Do you have any fear or concern for your safety? And do you wish to have contact with the defendant?
No, I have no fear.
All right. Thank you.
And Your Honor, since the victim has made a statement, can I just briefly ask for 1 or 2 questions?
Very briefly, Mr. Walker.
Hi,
Very
Ms.
briefly.
Caravani, how are you doing? Did you have the opportunity to speak with our victim advocate, Gloria Maldonado, earlier today?
Yes.
And did you make the statement to her that you felt like you needed a break from Mr. Waters?
Yeah, we're staying in a separate room, and I would like to be that way.
But
That's
you
what
did make the
I
statement that you felt like you two needed a break from one another, correct?
Yes, but I told her that I'm not feeling like I'm scared of him or anything, or him to be out of the house. I did not say that.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you. Nothing further.
All right.
So
Mr.
again, Your Honor,
McClain. Oh, 1 second, Mr. Walker. Mr. McClain, would you like to make any questions of the witness before I allow her to go?
No, Your Honor.
All right.
so briefly,
Thank
because
you.
this was their second incident, and she did state that she felt like they needed a break from one another, and this did occur 3 months ago. The state does have some concern. I understand that she said they're sleeping in different rooms. I'm not so sure that that's the best arrangement. So
All right.
out of safety for the victim, we will be requesting that stay away, Your Honor. Nothing
All
further.
right. All right. Thank you. Mr. McClain, please proceed.
That does clear up the mystery to me of why he was arrested at that location when this occurred months ago. And so I can see that there's not been any further calling of the police to that level. And so I understand what she's saying. We would ask the court to go along with rather the pretrial recommendation of unsecured judicial release, because you can use the phrase, over 104 years ago was his last arrest, and he is working, and they have responsibilities to get on with. So we'd like to ask the court for a signature bond.
All right. Thank you. At this time, the defendant will receive a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services. I am going to order the no further contact. At this point, I believe that the contact can be revisited at a later date by motions through the court. And he can return one time to the shared residence with a member of law enforcement to get any items. And he is to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Is there anything further from either party?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Waters. I understand you have a question. The best thing for you to do is speak with your attorneys. I do not want you to say something that may interfere with your right to remain silent. Do you have a question regarding the bond ruling?
The deputy sheriff can have him call me on the same phone that I talked to him before court.
All right, I think that's what you should do, Mr. Waters. All right. All right, best of luck to you. All right, have we completed the entire calendar?
I believe so, Your Honor.
All right, I believe so as well. Mr. Jordan, will you please review the calendar for me?
Yes. Position 1 is reset further notice, made bond. Position 2 is a $1,000 surety bond. Reset to the 10/27/22 SAP. It's 500 for count 1 and 500 for count 2. Position 3 is a $3,500 surety bond. $2,500 for count 1, $1,000 for count 2. Reset SAP. Position 4 is a $6,500 surety bond, reset SAP. Position 5 is a $7,500 split bond, $1,500 surety for count 1, $2,500 sign-on bond jail for count 2, and $3,500 surety for count 3. Reset SAP. Position 6 is a $2,000 split bond, $1,000 sign-on bond jail for count 1, $1,000 surety for count 2. Reset SAP. Position 7 is a $1,500 surety bond, reset SAP. Position 8, did you want that reset to Monday, Judge? Or Mr. McLean?
I'm sorry, Mr. Jordan, which position?
Position
you
8
asking
was
me about?
Position 8, the medical reset. I know that the courtroom 2 said they were going to try to get her on a competency calendar, but we still need someone to lead that.
Yeah,
So
please put her on on Monday, just so we can check and see what's happening.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, so that'll
Very
be
good.
reset
Definitely
to-
competency is the issue here.
Okay, so
Right.
reset 1017. Position 9 is a $2,000 surety bond, $500 for each count. Position 10 is a $4,000 surety bond, $1,000 for count 1, $2,000 for count 2, and $3,000 for count 3, and that's reset SAP. Position 9 is reset SAP. Position 11 is a $2,500 surety bond, reset SAP. Position 12 is a $1,000 sign-on bond jail. It's reset further notice. Position 13 is a $3,000 sign-on bond through pretrial, and that's reset further notice.
Are there any comments, changes, corrections, or questions?
Your Honor, I just want to make sure I have the rundown correct for Ms. Hunt's case, position 5. I have a $7,500 split bond, 1,500 surety on the reckless, 2,500 SOB on the battery, and 3,500 surety on the simple battery. No further
Yes.
contact with the victim or the child, and may return to the address one time to ascertain victim does not reside there, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. We'll be in recess until the October 17th SCA calendar. I will no longer say who's presiding because I've been getting it wrong and receiving some flack for that. But everyone take care and enjoy the rest of your weekend, all right?
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Bye.